Hello everyone, today I'm finally playing a card that I think a lot of people are really looking forward to from Edge of Eternities, and that is weapon manufacturing. Let's get into it. Alright, now I know during spoiler season for Edge of Eternities there was a lot of hype around this card. Weapon manufacturing is super sweet, however, I have not seen it really breaking through in any decks. Now a friend and I, we've been playing around with this one for what feels like a couple of weeks now, making new combinations, color combinations, and card choices. And unfortunately, we've been meeting kind of middling success. However, we've been hitting a ton of fun, and that's why I've decided to finally make this deck or this video for you featuring this deck today. I want to show you where I am at with my Rakdos version of the weapon manufacturing deck. So it is an enchantment for 1 and a red, and it says whenever a non-token artifact you control enters the battlefield, create a colorless artifact named Munitions. And what is Munitions? Well, it is a token artifact that says when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. The whole idea behind the deck is very simple. You want to play this out as early as you can, play out a whole bunch of artifacts that have varying degrees of success and impact on the game, and then you create a whole bunch of munitions, blow them all up, and destroy your opponent's creatures or their face. Simple enough, isn't it? Well, the problem is making sure that game plan actually gets carried out. Now, here is my current makeup of the Rakdos version of the deck. I think a lot of people maybe throw in white, have a lot of success with that. Blue also has some really great artifact synergies, but I've decided to start with Rakdos. It's just where I feel comfortable right now, and eventually I'll probably explore some other things. Now, right off the hop, I should warn you, this deck is not the best deck. It is fun, but it is definitely a work in progress, and I'm just trying to have fun in today's video, and hopefully we will see some really great gameplay. Now, quickly going over what we have in the deck. We kind of have our enablers and we have our payoffs in the deck. So we have cards like Candy Trail, really great 1 CMC artifact that's going to enter the battlefield, scry 2. We can then use this to either draw a card later, gain a little bit of life, or just feed it into one of our sacrifice outlets. Clockwork Percussionist, same kind of idea. It's a 1/1 with haste. Maybe it gets in for a point of damage, but what we really care about is the fact that when this creature dies, we exile the top card of our library. It's more artifact sacrifice fodder. A lot of that in this deck. Continuing on with the sacrifice fodder, Mephetic Draft. This card enters, draws us a card, we lose a life. When this card goes to the graveyard, draws us a card, and we lose a life. Cool. I would say those are the 3 main things that we want to be sacrificing along with our munitions, and the rest of the cards in the deck are going to be cards that allow us to either sacrifice or do other important things. So to keep us alive, we have a couple of copies of Shoot the Sheriff. We sometimes need to take out a creature at instant speed, specifically something like a Kona. We don't want our opponent to pop off. We also have 4 copies of Tithing Blade. It is an artifact, so it's going to trigger the weapon manufacturing, and it's going to make our opponent sacrifice a creature. A little bit of removal so we can stay alive until the end game. And I've also recently put in 2 copies of Deadly Cover-Up, a way of wiping the board because our opponents sometimes get a little bit too heavy of a start on us. We can't keep up with shooting them down with the munitions or whatever. Sometimes you just need a board wipe. So this has been a pretty good addition to the deck. Next, how do we sacrifice our cards? Well, we have 5 different ways of doing that. We are playing 2 copies of Tarian's Journal. This is great. It's a legendary artifact, so it will trigger the weapon manufacturing. We can sacrifice another artifact for free, and we can draw a card. The problem is, activate only at sorcery speed. Don't you hate that line of text? Anyways, it's a very powerful card. We have instant speed demand answers. As an additional cost, we have to sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. I really like this over the black one. I know some people are playing the 2 CMC instant speed black one that essentially does the same thing. It also creates a clue, I believe, but I like the fact that I can discard a card because sometimes I'm flooding. This deck does tend to draw a lot of cards, and if we have a whole bunch of lands in our hand and we haven't found our artifacts, sometimes I like being able to discard. Legion Extruder is probably one of the main sacrifice outlets in this deck. It is a artifact that deals 2 damage when it enters the battlefield, really great for taking out those early threats, and then we can pay 2 mana, tap this, sacrifice another artifact, and create a 3/3 golem. So it gives us some more attackers. It also allows us to pop our munitions and do a lot of things with this, but it does cost 2 mana, so that's a little bit of a downside. And the newest addition to the deck is actually Phantom Train. This thing, it has actually really impressed me. It's 4 CMC, it's an artifact. It's very expensive. However, we can sacrifice unconditionally and just go to town. So if we have 50 munitions on the board, which we're not going to, but if we did, we could sacrifice all 50 of them and ping our opponent with all of those triggers. And the last one that also does the sacrifice as many things as we want is the Rotten Mouth Viper. Now, at times, I actually had as many as 4 in the main board. I've gone down to 2 now. And I think because we have so many different ways of sacrificing artifacts, this one's not as important. It is a pretty cool card, but I found it to be a little bit awkward at times. I like the other ones here for sacrificing the artifacts a little bit more efficiently. And that is the deck. It's not that complicated. We're going to be throwing out a whole bunch of things, trying to keep the opponent under control, creating a big board of artifacts, and then eventually slamming in for a whole bunch of damage or slowly chipping away 2 damage at a time. It is a best of... I'm going to play this in best of 1. It is set up for best of 3. If you are interested in the current sideboard, you can kind of take a look at that. I guess I'll move over a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it right now. If you are interested in best of 3 content, well, we'll see maybe in the future. But for now, I want to stick to best of 1 and avoid VV. So going to hop into some games, see how this one plays out, and hopefully have some fun. See you over there. All right, game number 1 against Cypher 47. Let's hope this goes well. Opening hand looks kind of cool. I like that. Now, one thing about this deck that is a little annoying is the fact that Rakdos mana is very sus right now. It kind of sucks. I think I'm okay going out with the Candy Trail, setting up my future turns. Candy Trail was one of the cards that actually came a little bit later in the construction of this deck. Man, both of these are really good cards. Don't think I need that though right now. I kind of wanted a good solid 1 CMC card that was going to help smooth out my play lines or whatever. And Candy Trail with the Scry 2, it's an artifact. It just kind of made sense. So we get to put a weapon manufacturing online right off the bat. Our opponent has a Jagged Barons. Interesting choice, but 1 damage to our face. Not a big deal. Hopefully they put out a 2 toughness creature. That's always what we want to see on turn number 2. While the opponent's deciding what they're doing, as always, I'd like to ask you for your support and a little bit of help. If you could continue to help me grow this channel, subscribe if you haven't done that. I think the last time I looked at my analytics on the channel, it was something like 98% of people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. So if you are watching the videos, you like what's going on, if you could, if you're willing to, help me out and subscribe. And also stop down in the comments, say hello. Let me know if you've been playing weapon manufacturing, and if you have you had any success with this card? I really want this card to work. It's amazing. I even bought the fancy art for it because I think it looks so cool. But it's not feeling the most powerful. Maybe in the future when we get a few more artifacts in standard, as sets start rolling out now that rotation has happened, certainly we're going to start seeing some stuff that could maybe help us out. But for now, it feels kind of average, which is fine. Okay, we'll go out with our Theater, and I think Demand Answers is fine. This turn we're going to be playing out the Journal. We're not going to be able to instant speed blow up whatever they play out on their turn because we only have 1 mana open. Maybe I should have waited on the Theater to see this draw, because if it's an untapped land, I know it's not an untapped land. I scried into this, didn't I? Oh, I did it with this. That doesn't count. Okay, Black Mage's Rod. Now the opponent, I think, is going to have a whole lot of trouble keeping things on the field because we get to just keep blowing things up. Now they decide to get rid of the Journal. Ho, ho, ho. I think I'm okay with that. Well, we're going to keep fighting through. I think I want to draw some cards. I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to do the Legion Extruder there, but let's just keep shooting them down. This is one of the things that this deck does so well. It just keeps fighting through. Ooh. Turn my mouse speed down. Land was perfect, and actually the Candy Trail is also really perfect. We have 2 mana. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Both of these are really good. I like the Phantom Train. Do I need the Tithing? You know what? Let's keep both. We'll keep both on top. We don't need lands. We have 5 mana. It's fine. And this turn, if they put out something, we can use the Legion Extruder, blow up the munitions. Oh. Now I'm kind of wishing... that's okay. It's still fine. Ho. 2 creatures. Okay. That's fine. They attack in. Well, this is, I think, a pretty easy choice for us. We'll put 2 damage up top. I stacked my cards that are coming a little bit wrong, but I think it's not going to be a problem because I can use... Oh, he creates... I didn't read Kuja. What does Kuja do? At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/1 black wizard creature token. Very powerful. So I didn't know it was going to do that. What I was going to do is try to draw into the Tithing Blade and then kill the Kuja. Now I think it's probably just... It's fine. We go this way. It's boring. But I messed up. Okie doke. It's fine. We'll get in for 3. They're down to 1 card. We have the Demand Answers. If they have something with the... we can do something with the Tithing Blade maybe coming up next turn. Kind of feeling like they might have another Abrade. The way they're looking at our stuff kind of feels that way. No, they have a Slick Shot Show-Off. Feed the Swarm on my weapon manufacturing. So that is pretty good. And that, I think, is just going to happen. And unfortunately, I don't have a way of getting rid of these creatures except for the Deadly Cover-Up. I don't want to go to the point where I'm doing some Deadly Cover-Up. Of course, that's the easy thing to do, but probably should have played Demand Answers on the Candy Trail. I'm too hyper-focused. Now, if we get a block on the Mage... No block on the Mage. Okay. This is fine. We'll do this, and I think, you know what? I'm probably going to... Doesn't matter what I get rid of. We're not recurring anything, so collecting evidence is just fine. And I think probably I want to get rid of these show-offs? Or do I want to get rid of the Kujas? The Kuja is actually really annoying because it creates little babies. Okay, let's get rid of Kuja. How many did they have? They only had 2 in their deck. What else is in their deck? This is just a cool deck. It's a Black Mage one. I've only heard of people playing it. I've never played it myself or played against it myself. Okay, if they have a creature, that's going to be really great. We have the Tithing Blade to get rid of it. Okay. So a little bit of a boring... It's going a little bit boring now, but what we're going to do is Tithing Blade onto the Black Mage and probably use the Legion Extruder... Or do I use Demand Answers now? You know, I think I changed my mind. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Sacrifice with the Candy Trail and go. One thing about this deck, definitely there are like lines that are necessary to make, of course, and they're not always the clearest. Okay, I think maybe we're going to go Rottenmouth very soon and just get this on the field. We can play it out just for 6 mana. Okay, Timeline Color, pretty good from the opponent. We are down to 10. And they're going to load it up. Okay. We hit a weapon manufacturing, so... If I play this and I play the Phantom Train, I can't actually blow up the Timeline Color, so it could just be this and then... No, what am I saying? We got this. Phantom Train is awesome. That's going to make a munitions. The Phantom Train can sack the munitions for free. I'll do this now. Maybe I could have waited to do it reactively, just in case to have a blocker for 5/5, because it's not going to have haste this turn, but this is probably okay. Oh yeah, they're going to have... Oh my god. So I'm just messing up, because I forgot that the Timeline Color will have haste. This is definitely... I definitely should have done it the other order. No. I'm messing it up. I'm giving the opponent so many opportunities to win. Okay. Well, the thing is that we can just win with the Phantom Train. So, kind of a janky game, but we end up getting there. A little bit of, first game jitters with this deck. It's not my usual slam creatures down, slam in. I actually have to think about my lines, and when I'm sitting here babbling, that's going to get a little bit blurry. All right, try to calm down for the next one. Okie dokie. You will definitely find that these games are going to be grindy games. I think we're going to go a little bit longer than usual. Lately, they've been about 35 minutes of videos. I've been getting a little bit better at keeping the videos shorter. So we get a turn 1 Candy Trail, and we get to see some cards. Neither of these cards are weapon manufacturing, and I think I just want to always dig for weapon manufacturing every single time. Ooh, the opponent is on a bit of an aggro start. So I could put out the Candy Trail and the Clockwork, or I could just draw a card. I think playing for 2 mana, probably it's okay. Draw a card here. Legion Extruder, fine. I don't know if they are going to be on like Boros mobilized deck. That's a little annoying though. We don't have, we do ping damage, and we don't have anything that can wide sweep them. So let's go with Starting Town, and I think it's probably going to be necessary to start getting golems going. We might need the 3/3 blockers sooner rather than later. We'll put out the Percussionist. Percussionist is going to be staying back on defense. Jumping into one of these 1/1s is going to be okay with me, and they have a Cosmogrand. That is a big problem. Very big problem, especially since I did not hit anything. So, okay, I'm going to go with the draft again. See what's on the top of the deck. We get a Phantom Train, not the card that I want to see. I guess next turn it's going to be the Legion Extruder, but they might be able to pump up this Cosmogrand. Uh-oh. The opponent's doing cool stuff. They're doing what I would love to do. Cosmogrand is such a cool card, but it never ends up working out for me. So they're creating 2/2s. They're creating a whole bunch of 1/1s. We are going to sacrifice the Percussionist, because why not? And we got the Deadly Cover-Up, but we don't have a land. Uh-oh. So land off the top or bust. Not a land off the top. Okay, so we have to set up for a future turn. We're going to use 3/3s to keep us alive. Okay, we'll throw both of those away. Tithing Blade, especially horrid against an opponent who has a bunch of 1/1s. Okay, there is our mountain. So for the following turn, we'll... Well, what am I doing? Of course I'm going to have it. I have it right there. So do I need to keep this? Just being bad, right? Just being a bad player. Okay, no attack, no attack. We might be okay if they end up... the Deadly Cover-Up was from the Percussionist. The Deadly Cover-Up was not in my hand. I thought it was in my hand. Oh, no. Oh, woe is me. Oh. Okay, don't worry about that. We'll be fine. We draw a Starting Town. Not great. Okay, let's take so much damage. We'll double block on one of the Cosmogrands. They have double reinforcements, maybe? Hopefully they don't have a pump spell for this Cosmogrand. Oh, they do have a pump spell. That's cool. All right. Well, we needed the Deadly Cover-Up. I was a bonehead. I wasn't watching where the Deadly Cover-Up was. I didn't realize it was in exile. Forgive me messing up, but the opponent with the cool slam through. I love Frontline Rush. What a powerful card. Okay, that's fine. Move on. You know what I would love to hear is some opinions on the Percussionist, actually, because the Percussionist, oh, speak of which, the Clockwork Percussionist is a card that my friend and I actually disagree with. I love it, and I've been putting it in this deck since the inception of the deck, since it was built. Do I keep the Deadly Cover-Up? I don't know what the opponent's on. I kind of want to just go get my... I'm going to put it down against my better judgment. I kind of want to find a weapon manufacturing. Ooh. But yes, I really like the Percussionist. I think it's a great card. I want to keep playing it in the deck. I think it works really well. But he does not think the same way about this little monkey. I wonder what you guys think about it. The Spyglass Siren. Crack that map onto the Siren, would ya? There you go. And they find a Zoetic Glyph, which they put into the bin. That's kind of cool. So we'll throw out the Extruder, get rid of the Siren, why not, and get in for some damage. Maybe start turning the Clockwork Percussionist into a 3/3, see what's underneath that with the Exile. Hopefully it's not a Deadly Cover-Up. And they're going to go dig for lands, I assume. Maybe not. Okay, we hit the draft. Now, the Mephitic Draft is very good, but it is not a land, and I kind of need a land, so I think sacrificing the Percussionist here is actually kind of fine. This will give me 3 looks at cards to find a land for the turn. There's at least a land drop. I would prefer an untapped land. And they spell pierce it. Dirty dog. Alright, fine. They force us to play out the starting town. Spell pierce main board. What a format we are in. And the Astrologians Planisphere. Okay. Astrologians. Pronounced it correctly. Synthesizer Lab is going to be pretty good. At least we can get rid of this hero. That's cute. Okay, so they turn this into a 2/2 and it unequipped. I wonder if that's what they were intending. So we'll get rid of the 2/2 anyways before it starts grow. I guess it's not going to grow anymore because this is what causes it to grow. Huh. And as much as I want to draw, I think it's probably better for me to use the Legion Extruder to make a 3/3 this turn. We'll see what they do first, though. I don't know what the opponent's on. It's like a prowess type deck. Ew, the Pinnacle Emissary is actually a really dangerous card because they're going to make a bunch of 1/1s, turning our Tithing Blades into trash. And yeah, this is the thing. Actually, so this kind of brings up the question of best of 1 or best of 3. I originally started playing this deck as best of 1 because I want to avoid VV, and I just kind of fallen into best of 3. Like, it's fine. Best of 3's or best of 1's fine. And I kind of came to the conclusion that actually this deck is a little bit better suited for best of 3, not best of 1. Even though I've been playing in best of 1, I think best of 3 is probably a little bit better. And the reason behind that is because you just need that sideboard. The way the deck is focused on certain aspects just can get you in a lot of trouble. You kind of need to be able to take out... Like, we are really good against creatures that are 2 damage, right? You deal a lot of 2 damage pings to things. But as soon as something like this has 3 toughness, you just get into such a difficult position. And 4 toughness, oh my god. And if they're making babies, it's not so great. That's why I have the Fire Magic in the sideboard, hoping that it can maybe do something for us. Do you remember that Deadly Cover-Up that I put on the bottom of my deck? Do you remember how good it would be right now? Or do you realize how good it would be right now? Ooh. That's not the worst draw. So we don't have lethal damage, and there's a very good chance that we're actually kind of just dead next turn. Let's put it out and see what's on the top of our deck at the very least. Candy Trail's okay too. So Candy Trail plus Tithing Blade. Can I survive a turn is going to be the question. Let's put out the Phantom Train. And wait a turn. I don't think I have enough damage. I think they're probably just a little bit too fast, especially if they slam in. And we're never going to be able to get in with this Golem. It's back on defense now. But the plan is to to maybe get in with the Phantom Train just to be able to ping them down with enough stuff. That being said, they are hitting us for quite a bit of damage in the air. Is it lethal damage in the air? It's 11. They're 1 short. If they attack with the Pinnacle Emissary as well, we're dead. Whoa, I think they missed lethal, right? And we don't need to... Let me just make sure that's 11 damage. They might be able to ping me. Okay. That's all I can do. Okay, let's see what this card is. What do I have to do? Pinnacle Emissary, they're just going to make more things. I need 6 things to sacrifice, and I don't have 6 things to sacrifice. I'm going to have one... I'm 1 short. And oh no, I can't sacrifice the Mephetic. Oh, I can. Okay. It's possible we can get there. Okay, I think I need to look underneath this, and this needs to be really good. That's really good. That's really good. That's really good. I think we're good. We're golden. And this is why I love the train. It doesn't matter. Let me do it. Let me do the cool thing. So, the first time that I did the cool thing, where I was able to sacrifice a whole bunch of the munitions to the Rotten Mouth, it was actually very unsatisfying because you just have to individually click everything, and when you just individually click all of the triggers, it just takes... I wanted the machine gun like ta 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 ta. Instead, you have to click and click and click and click, and it just kind of made it a little cheesy. As you could see in there, we had it, but the clicking was really bad. Anyways, Phantom Train. Oh, the unconditional sacrifice is just absolutely fantastic if you're able to get enough things on the board. The opponent missing lethal, I believe if they attacked in with this, maybe not missing lethal, because we could have responded with the Phantom Train and blown up something. We could have stayed alive, but it would have made it very hard for us to finish them off on the following turn. I'm not sure exactly. It doesn't matter, it says victory. Next one. If you have any ideas for your own version of this deck, I would love to hear them. Lately, I've been mentioning that there is the Discord, so if you had any interest in popping in over on the Discord, link is down in the description. You can click in, come over and say hello. We got a good group of people over there. It's not too busy, but enough people, and it's always good to see that. Both of these cards are not lands, and neither of them are weapon manufacturing, so I'm going to probably throw them both to the bottom. Maybe I could have kept the Percussionist, because it would have been pretty good with the Journal. Ooh. Weapon manufacturing, there it is. Now, one card that is obviously pretty nasty for us is Starcage Pinnacle. It's always horrible. It's horrible for everybody in every circumstance, right? And I haven't seen a lot of Starcage Pinnacle on the ladder, but if you remember from the intro, you'll see that 2 CMC slot is a huge line of cards that we're playing out. So Starcage Pinnacle really hoses us. That being said, if we have the weapon manufacturing on the field and we are creating enough... I don't think that's going to be good. If we're creating enough things, munitions, when they use the Starcage Pinnacle, it could end up just murdering them, right? So, we do create one. We have the Mephetic draft. This is when it's put in the graveyard, so not when it's exiled, a little bit unfortunate. They could go and grab the Starcage now. They could also just go and grab their golem making card, the synthesizer card, which is probably what I think they'll do. Yep, there it is. And they have 2 mana to mess around with this turn. So we're not getting hit quite yet with the nastiness. Really need to see a land. I think next turn, if I don't find the land, I'm going to have to go out with the Tarian's Journal and try to draw. Okay, well, there's the land. So, what am I doing now? I could do what I was just saying, talking about doing, is going out with the Tarian's Journal anyways, drawing a card. It's always good. It's probably better to get rid of the draft now. Are they going to counter this? Surely not. Surely not. And I think I will put out the Candy Trail. I would love them to blow a counter spell on the Candy Trail. But it gives us the Scry. And it's a Phantom Train. Phantom Train, very interesting. Land, very interesting, because it gets us to the Deadly Cover-Up. Deadly Cover-Up is not going to keep me alive, though, once they start making recursive golems. Probably do need it, though. Let's keep both on top. I've already played my land for the turn, but this is still fine to draw 2 cards. We'll draw both of those, in fact. This one thing about this deck, it just draws and draws and draws and draws and draws. And unfortunately, sometimes the weapon manufacturing just loves to hide in the bottom of the deck. Ooh, if they have Ultima, Ultima is going to be real bad. They're probably looking at the Star Cage right now thinking, well, if I use the Star Cage, I'm going to take 6 damage. Okay, well, there it is. Okay. They decide to throw it out. Now, Star Cage does not hit weapons manufacturing. So what did they end up taking from us? They took Artarian's Journal and 2 Candy Trails. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. We hit another Phantom Train. A little bit uncomfortable with the mana. I could put out the Extruder and use Demand Answers. You know what? I don't mind that. So we'll put out the Phantom Train. The Phantom Train is going to make... They did have the negate. Whoa, that's okay. We have that back up. I was going to say, I could put out the Phantom Train. That'll make a munition that I can sacrifice, and maybe I could Deadly Cover-Up, blow up their Golem board, and then swing in with the Phantom Train. But maybe that'll be a future turn plan. 2 Simulacrum Synthesizers online now, so we do have to be very careful. They could end up... They probably can't kill us in 1 turn. That being said, they could make... Whew, okay. They don't have the mana to do that this turn. Okay. I don't think there's any way they'd hit us for 17 here. So I'm going to put out the Phantom Train. I'm going to put out the Percussionist. Generate 2 more munitions. And then just kind of ease up for a second. And it might be a case of... In fact, Phantom Train plus munitions is 10 damage. I was going to say it's 12 damage. It's only 10 damage. But maybe we can get there with the Extruder if we take them down to 10. After a Deadly Cover-Up, some things happen. Ooh, they hit probably our demise right there. That is brutal. The Perilous Snare on the train. Okay. Well... I think in that case, I have to use it while I can. Put the damage up top. And now I might actually be in a spot where I can't really sacrifice things. I was really hoping that they would, you know, Star Cage can't hit the Phantom Train, like, oh, I'm going to be okay. The Phantom Train is just going to stay on the field forever. But yeah, Perilous Snare definitely gets in there. Okay, we're 100% blocking here. And I suppose next turn we are also 100% deadly covering because I just don't have enough damage otherwise. So if they counter this, they counter it. It's going to be the way it goes. Do they have a second negate? Second negate. All right, opponent. Good on you. Now here's the question: Does the opponent BM? Of course they do. They had 48 damage to our 17 life on board, but it was probably even more than that, right? And it wasn't enough for them. They had to. They only throw out 1 more. It's not such a big deal. They didn't dirtle too much before they murdered us. But okay. Hey, Synthesizer deck, probably #1 deck, or at least a contender for best of 1 meta, and I think we held our own pretty well against them. I'm going to continue messing around with the weapon manufacturing deck for sure, but I am kind of running low on decks that I want to try out. So if there are some decks that you haven't seen on the channel and you are interested in seeing, please do let me know down in the comments. I would love to get some suggestions for some future decks that I could probably try playing or try out. Speaking of one that I kind of want to try out, and I mentioned this before, right before the rotation happened, I was playing the Yuna deck quite a bit and having a lot of fun with Selesnya Yuna. I do have a Smuggler's Surprise, that's what the card's called, deck, you know, with your Overlord of the Hauntwood, probably very much what the opponent's playing. That one I've been kind of messing around with and tweaking it here and there, but I haven't really put it through too many games. But in the future, maybe that'll be a deck that ends up seeing some play. I don't necessarily like throwing out the Legion Extruder to do 2 damage to the face, but I don't think we're going to have too many targets for this opponent. They're going to have a lot of creatures that have 4 and 5 toughness. Or 2. Or 2 toughness, maybe 2 toughness. It's fine. We have our trusty Tithing Blade to get rid of the summon Fenrir. That being said, the damage may already be done, and the opponent might have a turn 5 Yuna to bring back that Fenrir. And if that's the case, then we are kaputs. Oh, they're playing Abzan. Yeah, of course they're playing Abzan. There it is. Okay. So we can get rid of this, but it's so bad. Okay. Unfortunately, when you're, again, weapon manufacturing, we're using our artifacts without finding the weapon manufacturing, and then we're going to kind of be in a weird position. We really need them to stumble a little bit now that we've taken out their first Yuna. But if they have a second Yuna, of course they have a second Yuna. It is what it is. It's only a Fenrir, though, this time. It only ramps them the same, actually. Okay. Well, I guess we have to throw out a Rotten Mouth Viper. Now, this is the first time seeing the Viper coming down. The Viper, if you don't know, it comes in with a Blight counter on it. And then it says, whenever this creature enters or attacks, put a Blight counter on it. Then for each counter on it, each opponent loses 4 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent of their choice or discard a card. They opt to discard. We helped them out. They discard the Knights of Round, which they can then bring back with the Yuna. And this one is over. Okay. We're good. We're good on this one. They're going to have a massive board, and we're not going to suffer through it. Ouch on this one. Now we're starting to see the cracks in the weapon manufacturing plan. I really wonder how aggressively I have to mulligan for the weapon manufacturing, because when you don't have it in your opening hand, my God, does the deck feel pretty horrible. We have it in hand, though, this time, so we'll see if it feels any better against our big Strass opponent. They're on the play, playing a creature deck. That's fine. So we throw out the Candy Trail. Now, we are going to take a ton of damage because we won't actually be able to do anything until turn 3, because we'll go out with the Candy Trail. We set up the top of our library with a bunch of lands. That's good news, but it's going to be weapon manufacturing into Tithing Blade, maybe, because I need to slow down the opponent smacking us with higher claws. But all of that might be just a little bit too slow. Especially if they have turn 3 and the 3/3 Haste Boy. Do they have something? Oh my God. Since when is Boros? Why are they playing Get Lost? Why? Do I have a big target on my back today? Kind of feels like it. So the opponent's already done 7 damage to us. They've taken out our one hope. The weapon manufacturing really needed that to stay alive. And all I can do is Tithing Blade one of these higher claws. I'm never going to get any better value out of that. But at least it stops 2 damage coming in next turn. They have a Grease Wrench Goblin to fill their hand on the following turn, and I don't know what we're going to do in this one. Well, the good news is we've hit the lands, so if I do find Deadly Cover-Up, maybe that is some hope. Might need to start sacking the Candy Trails to gain us a little bit of life. Candy Trail gaining 3 life there. Legion Extruder is okay. You know what? I'm going to throw out the Legion Extruder because this ends up being a blocker, a bunch of blockers. We'll take out the Grease Wrench Goblin because that might be something that they were looking to exhaust on the following turn. Discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards, put a +1/+1 counter on it. We don't need to be taking more damage. Oof, okay. Now this draft is probably not a card I want to be playing out. Whoa, they're just going for it. Okay. I don't... Can I get rid of the Hired Claw? I'm really surprised they didn't pump up the Hired Claw. Okay, let's draw first. First draw. Stop playing your lands first. Get rid of that old habit. The draft is real bad. Okay, we'll put out the Surveil land. See what's on the top of our library. We don't... Again, I might be cracking... So I think what it's going to be is Legioned Extruder on the Tithing Blade, then Candy Trail to gain a little bit of life. We go back up to 8 life. They're down to 1 card in hand. I just need to stabilize a little bit. Kind of need to find more Candy Trails. If I can find them, it's going to be some good news. Okay. Starting town is absolutely not a Candy Trail. And if they hit another Boros Charm, no, they hit the Slick Shot. That's bad. Okay. So this is all I can do. Now I need to take that thing out in the sky. We're down to 2, so shocks and everything else are going to kill us. That doesn't matter. Okay. Living on the edge. Weapon manufacturing. Good game, the opponent says. Good game indeed. You know what? 1 life is the same as 2 life against this deck. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. This card can never leave my hand. Ooh, Candy Trail. Now, unfortunately, Candy Trail doesn't heal me this turn, but if I can fade, I just need to fade. Just need to fade 1 turn, I think. If I can get up to 4 life, 4 life's good. Do they have on the ground haste? They might, so I'm not brave enough to attack. Fade something, fade damage. There's so many cards that kill us. What a fight. We were fighting, and I don't know if that one could have gone any differently. You know what? What is this card? What is this? Look at the rest of their deck. This is your typical burn deck, and then they're like, yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna have 1 get lost just in case I run into a weapon manufacturing and I need to get rid of it on turn 2. Think about how differently the game would have gone. Ugh. So I think I played 6 games, right? And I think it was win, loss, Yuna, that last game, which bothers me a whole lot. Okay, so this is the last game. We're gonna mulligan to try to find that card right there. This hand's okay, even though we had to take a mulligan. Throwing away one of the deadly cover-ups is probably fine. We are against everybody's favorite, Is It? And may as well just crack this. What's the point of slow rolling that? We'll go grab a black source just in case I do need 2 mana for the deadly cover-up at some point in the future. It's probably fine. So, impact Tremors for the opponent. They are going to probably be playing Mobilize, sending out a whole bunch of creatures, so I might need this deadly cover-up a lot sooner than I thought. Next turn, pretty good, because I can put out the Tarian's Journal and the... Actually, a deadly card for me. A very deadly card. And I'm gonna have to kill this. In fact, you know what? I think this deck is the deck that the Nostalgic Necro has been playing on his channel. The last 2 videos that he put out, I believe, used Impact Tremors and the Razorkin Needlehead. That's cool. Bye-bye, Needlehead. This deck is trying to put out... I like both these cards. Ooh. I think I want that on top. They're going to try to put out a card called like Ogier, which doubles up some damage on triggers, something like that, and they're going to be putting out the... well, whatever, I'm going to take a win there. They put out like the Bloodletter as well, and they want to just ping, but double ping, and it's a pretty neat deck in the end. I think we probably would have had the opponent under our thumb quite well there. Do I want to play one more? That wasn't much of a game, right? I think I'm gonna play one more. Okay, we're getting 8 games because the last one, not so exciting. Currently, we are 4-3, 3-4 because we're down. But we got a weapon manufacturing. We're going first. I like this. I haven't been greeting my opponents, so we should say hello. Do I want to put out the Clockwork Percussionist early, or do I want to save it? You know what? Let's just put it out. Run it out. That's another like weird thing about the deck that I'm not entirely sure how I should play it. If I should slow roll the Percussionist so that I have a 1 CMC spell to put out later to trigger the weapon manufacturing to get munitions. But, you know, hey, it's already doing its thing. The opponent is on Jeskai, and we are probably getting hit by you-know-what. Unfortunately, not hitting lands. But we do have 2 weapon manufacturing, so we'll put them out. The Star Cage does not hit the weapon manufacturing, like we saw in the last game that we played against this deck. So we do get to start generating some value here. Boom, boom, boom. And that's a Percussionist off the top and a land off the top. We're going to play 1 land. We need that other land for the Phantom Train. I am going to be sacking the Candy Trail this turn. So it doesn't really matter what order we do it in. I think I'm fine keeping the Percussionist as well. So Percussionist plus Candy Trail. I mean, honestly, I could get out Rotmouth. Should I get out Rotmouth this turn? Is that crazy? Huh. I've kind of just changed my tune a little bit. What are they going to do up against a Rotmouth? They might just have the suck-up thing, though. No, okay. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Attack in with the Percussionist. Draw with the Candy Trail. Keep to the original plan. If they Star Cage us, there's no loss, really. Like, we lose the Percussionist, I guess it's a little annoying. But that's fine. It kind of feels like a Star Cage turn to me. It's just a synthesizer, okay? Well, they don't have the Repurposing Bay yet, and they don't have 5 mana yet. Things could go real bad real fast for us. So we draw the Percussionist, we draw our Swamp. So, let's... I think this turn we're going to go out with the Rotten Mouth. I think it's appropriate to do so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's make them deal with this. 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. 8 damage to the face. And we draw a couple of cards here. Deadly Cover-Up and Tithing Blade. Not a great thing. We do make them discard something. And they now have to deal with the Rotten Mouth Viper. We're going to make 2 more weapons here. So if next turn they're unable to deal with our weapon manufacturing and the Rotten Mouth, then we can Phantom Train, and we will actually have 8 points of damage just from our munitions, which kind of seems like they whiffed here. Sure, they get a couple of boys, but hey, sweet, sweet, sweet. GG, my friend. Do I attack in? Let's attack, see what they do. Double trigger on the Rotten Mouth. Maybe it'll be a few less triggers for us to go through here. Oh, they can sack the Cryogen Relics. Why? Well, maybe they want to use those for future things. Okie doke. Well, when you have 2 weapon manufacturing out on the field, turns out that that's pretty good, and you can blast your opponent pretty easily. Phantom Train turns on. I'm very impressed with the Phantom Train. So there are a couple cards. Maybe I'll talk about them in the wrap-up. Yeah, I'll save that for the wrap-up. And hey, we end at a 50% win rate. 4-4 against our revenge deck. We got a real win there against a real deck. Okay. All right, so weapons manufacturing ending 4-4, not too bad. I think it was a pretty fun outing. Some misplays, as is expected when you're watching Abo GMTG, right? Isn't that the case? Anyways, before I talk about the deck, I think a couple of cards to mention. So there is Fanatical Offerings. This is one of the cards that I think a lot of people are running. I was mentioning it earlier. I think I probably had it pop up somewhere as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or a creature. And we're not, the way I built this deck, not very heavy on creatures. Of course, I do have the Clockwork Percussionist, and I will be making the 3/3 golems, but for the most part, I think I'm not going to have a creature to sacrifice. Sacrifice an artifact, always an option, but that's why I just kind of like demand answers a little bit better. That discard over the creature option is just better. And then probably the card that like a lot of people are like, why aren't you playing Umbral Zealot? Right? Umbral Color Zealot. This is a new card from Edge of Eternities. This was a 4 of in the deck at one point, and it is a fantastic card. Yes, it could go into this deck, but what I found with this card, it was just a little awkward. It was doing something that I wanted, sacrifice, of course, unconditionally, and it was surveilling, that's great. But it's not an artifact, and it's a 2 toughness creature that kind of goes out onto the field, and then it ends up just jumping under our opponent's big attacking creature, or it ends up getting sniped by a Torch the Tower, or a Shock, or a Burst Lightning, or all the other multitude of things that kill 2 CMC, 2 toughness creatures. So in the end, I actually ended up removing all of my Umbral Color Zealots, because I think it's a little bit of a trap card in this deck. Now, as for the makeup of the deck, I think a lot of it is pretty solid. The cards that I'm not 100% sold on, Deadly Cover-Up, I do think it's necessary, but I'm not really sure. There might be a better option in red or in black. We didn't see any games against Landfall. Amazingly, I played 8 games and I didn't hit Landfall once. Amazing, right? That's the deck that is a little bit of a problem for us, because we can slow it down a little bit when we're doing 2 damage to things, or we have our Shoot the Sheriff, but then sometimes they go just a little bit too wide and we really need to wipe out the whole board. And then other decks, maybe Rabbits and that, but those decks are probably too fast and are going to run us over anyways. We're pretty good at delaying to the Deadly Cover-Up, but still, this one's I'm not sure. And then, of course, the Clockwork Percussionist, I like it, but I understand that it is a bit of a weakness. It's not maybe the best thing in the deck. I don't know what it could be replaced with. I think most of the deck is pretty solid. I think every card in the 2 slot is very necessary and very purposeful in the deck. I love Tarian's Journal. I'm so glad I get to play this in a deck. It's so powerful. We've discussed the idea of going down to 1 copy of it, but honestly, it's a card that I want to see every game, so I think 2 copies of it is good enough in the deck. Shoot the Sheriff, Necessary Evil in this format, and the Mephitic Draft. Whew. What a card to have in. But we're not gaining a whole lot of life outside of Candy Trail, so we do have to be careful. We are murdering ourselves when we're playing this out and sacking it. It does about 8 damage to us, or it has the ability to do up to 8 damage to us. That with the starting town, and suddenly we're losing a lot of damage just all on our own. But this is the current design of the deck, and I think for Rakdos, with the current cards that are available, I gotta feel like this is pretty close to where I want to be with the deck, but I know I'm missing something. So I'm putting it out to you. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much. Please help me out with this one. Give me some recommendations. And of course, in the future, we might start seeing some other decks. Of course, there is always the Biotech Specialist. That's what it's called, right? This is another card. If you are going to go into another color, green seems to be a pretty good color. We could go the Lander way about things. Those are artifact creatures. They come out, trigger our weapon manufacturing, and then we can sack them for extra damage. Suddenly, our munitions are doing 4 damage and not just 2 damage. So, lots of cool stuff with this card. We can build it so many different ways, and I'm excited to hear some of your suggestions. Please don't hold back. That's it for this one. It was probably a long one. Thank you for sticking around. Take care for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.